Although there were warnings that I frankly wasn't aware of, I think our preparation was...
Los Angeles, the city of angels, the home of Hollywood glamour, the site of the 2028 Olympics, is telling many of its citizens, just flee. Flee. Because it does not have the power or the water that they need to stay safe. But the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, is now finally back from Ghana. Joe Biden sent her there for the inaugural. Like, who gives a crap? Why is the LA mayor going to Ghana for some political event? What in the actual F?
The truth was recently outspoken by Megyn Kelly. Perhaps Karen Bass is still looking for a way out. One minute she's advocating for openness, and the next she's doing mental acrobatics that would make Simone Biles jealous. What exactly did Karen get caught doing this time? Let's imagine that the cameras were rolling and the receipts were ready and Megyn wasn't in the mood for spin. Hold on tight. This is a political scheme with an overly dramatic twist.
Tell you something. The warnings about these Santa Ana winds being worse than normal and bringing a grave threat were all over the place. You look back at the LA Times now, for days prior to this event, they were jumping up and down saying, this actually could get really bad. And she's over there in Ghana for this ceremonial. What? Why? Get your ass back home.
If you like it, kindly subscribe to the channel. You'll be surprised at how much it helps. As she spoke, grinned for the cameras, and acted as though Los Angeles wasn't going to become an outdoor escape room, Karen Bass thought she was having a normal day. Then came Megyn Kelly with receipts, iced coffee, and that signature smile that usually means someone is about to get politically roasted. Yes, she did deliver.
Cruz fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis is part of a larger pattern of the GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out. Well, how'd that one go, madam? Is that part of your pattern on your team to abandon folks during a crisis? I mean, I realize you sent a couple of tweets, but in this kind of situation, people like to see and hear from their leaders. And you were in Ghana enjoying yourself.
The first step was something small. This will be one of those times politicians think, somewhere along the lines of, nobody will notice. People always notice, though, when Megyn Kelly's radar starts to ping like a metal detector at a gold mine. Suddenly, Bass's calm, collected vision faltered like a roaring Wi-Fi signal.
I just was saddened by it, honestly, because I think that response was beneath him. And he was in my office a couple of weeks ago. We're working on something. We're working on a couple of things together. But I think that he is sad and bitter. And I think that it is really sad to exploit. You guys laughing about that? I feel like it's exploiting tragedy. It's exploiting grief. And this is when the city needs to...
Paradoxically, she spent years portraying herself as the voice of reason. The steady hand is guiding LA through chaos. The mayor is unstoppable because she has her finger on the pulse. It turns out, though, that pulse might have been lagging behind a mountain of unpleasant justifications, embarrassing disclosures, and excuses.
We have got ICE and Tom Homan's team trying to clean up MacArthur Park. Isn't this your home state, Cannon? And your lovely mayor, Karen Bass, goes out there not to say, thank you, it's riddled with MS-13. Literally no children ever play here because they could get shot. It's become a place where illegal immigrants go to get false IDs and try not to get killed by MS-13. She calls up the head of CPB out there and says, get out! Don't come here. We don't want you. In response to which that guy says, I don't...
Megyn Kelly isn't just someone who scratches the surface. She excavates the truth. Even archaeologists could take notes from her. She doesn't stop at headlines. She hunts for the real story, buried beneath layers of press statements and polished talking points. And this time, she uncovered something Karen probably wished would stay hidden forever. This wasn't a simple mistake or a careless slip-up. No, what mattered here was the belief that no one would ever notice. It makes you wonder if some politicians ever pause to think before making decisions that could reshape everything around them. While Los Angeles was busy worrying about potholes and confusing policies, Karen seemed focused on keeping up appearances, the kind that make people blink twice and ask, wait, what? One moment she's preaching about honesty and responsibility, and the next her carefully built image shatters. like a phone dropped straight into a blender. Beneath it all sits a twist so predictable even Hollywood writers might reject it as too on the nose. And when things started falling apart, Karen tried to contain the fallout. You can almost imagine her PR team scrambling in a meeting, nervously explaining what she really meant was, or that quote's out of context.
I was able to press her, and it was a complete disaster. First of all, before I get to the truly disastrous part, listen to her describing herself. Like, I basically got on the back of Superman to come home. Take a listen to this out too.
I've been in constant contact with our fire commanders, with county, state, and federal officials. I took the fastest route back, which included being on a military plane, which facilitated our communications. So I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight.
It was impossible to miss. The smile, the startled glance, that brief, uneasy silence. All of it silently asked the same thing. Did she really just say that? Within moments, the moment spread everywhere. Social media pounced, turning the clip into the latest viral sensation faster than a celebrity can post an apology after an award show mishap. Suddenly, everyone became a detective. People who hadn't cared about city politics in years were now replaying videos, studying reactions, and dissecting every word like it was an episode of a true crime documentary titled Karen Bass, The Case of the Missing Accountability. There's something almost unbelievable about being called out for the very behavior you've spent months condemning on national TV. It's like watching a fitness coach scarf down a double cheeseburger mid-marathon. You just can't ignore it. And the irony only grew louder when her supporters rushed to her defense, shouting, "She's being misjudged!" And that's not what she meant. But, of course, it was exactly what it appeared to be.
Screwed home. Are we supposed to be giving credit for the fact that she didn't book too many layovers? This is an absurd person. And you don't have to take my word for it in response to that inanity you just heard. Listen to the mayor. In her time of crisis, her city's time of massive crisis, in directing people where to go if they need information, which they do because their houses are burning and their family members, in at least 5 cases, are dying. Listen to this idiot.
The one politicians receive right before they become aware that their body language contradicts their statements. Megyn's collapse wasn't simply a sharp one, it was a surgical one. She sliced right through the noise. Just the facts with that familiar tone that says, you can try to spin this, but good luck. No shouting or bravado. She didn't need to make anything theatrical, which is the finest part. The farce wrote itself, since it is only in politics that one may be caught red-handed and still try to explain why the hand isn't really red. It's just bad lighting. Karen's answers were disorganized, each more confusing than the one before it, like a GPS rotating in circles. Integrity, recalculation. Turn around, please. But there is something almost artistic about the regularity of it all. After being caught, the politician denies, blames the mistake on miscommunication, and ends by pledging to do better. Your watch may have it programmed. But this time, Megyn wasn't having it. She probed, prodded, and pushed the layers away until nothing was left except pure guilt.
Karen Bass was, she's in this spirited competition with Brandon Johnson, who can be the most ineffective mayor. It's impressive, really.
Yeah,
in its way.
Dark horse coming up the third position in the lane. Possible Zoran Mondami. He's running.
The Big Apple. She was a member of the House for a long time and kind of generally well-liked, pleasant person, not considered a heavyweight. And when she ran for mayor, I remember being surprised. She had no executive authority. I didn't think she'd win.
The reactions came fast and loud. Commentators, analysts, and even late-night hosts swarmed the story like birds spotting an open buffet. Every clip was replayed, every inconsistency blown up, and every PR move dissected frame by frame in glorious slow motion. Karen, meanwhile, looked like someone trying to hold a press conference while standing on a tightrope. Every word she uttered seemed to carry hidden weight. Of course, she tried to steer the conversation toward her achievements, her hard work, and her care for the community. A classic strategy. When the headlines burn, tug on a few heartstrings, but this time, it didn't work. Megyn's sharp focus didn't waver for a second. Once her spotlight locks onto you, it stays there until the curtain closes. You'd think politicians would have learned that lesson by now. It's nearly impossible to outwit a journalist who thrives on contradictions, especially when those contradictions make for great entertainment. Megyn has a rare gift. She can present the truth in a way that's both hilarious and unsettling. You find yourself laughing at her delivery, yet questioning how things got this messy in the first place. This whole episode, pure drama. A masterclass in reading between the lines without saying a word.
13. They literally are killing your citizens and getting people addicted to drugs, like innocent Americans. And you're on the side of the dog poop. Like somebody who came through and said, I'm going to clean up all the dog poop so the children can play and they don't have to deal with it anymore. And the mayor came out and said, the dog poop stays. Step away. This is the position she's taking. And it's not just her. You're right. Zohran Mamdani, who's likely to be our next mayor in New York City, is having this clash right now with the sitting mayor, Eric Adams, where Mamdani is saying, I will not work with ICE. I will not funnel any illegals to ICE's way, even if there is a federal detainer.
Maybe she didn't mean it that way. Maybe she was misinterpreted by Megyn. All of this could be a distraction. But the evidence did not require interpretation. Loudly, openly, and with the force of someone tired of being ignored, it shouted. The funniest part was Karen's follow-up interview. She put on her confident face, walked in as if nothing had occurred, and tried to turn back, but the air was thick with someone saying, we've seen the footage. Her actual cornered situation was only highlighted by each attempt at deflection. It was a combination of reality TV and political drama, but the crowd wasn't buying the cut, and the confessionals were live. By the middle of the week, the memes had taken over. Screenshots, response videos, and remixes. The internet isn't forgiving or forgotten when the content is this funny. Everyone in the city appeared to agree. We were bored. Thank you for the plot twist. Amidst all of that pandemonium, you sensed a shift. People started asking more difficult questions. Not the kind you can reply to with a press release, but the kind that echoes and whispers in the background every time you're on screen.
Go out there, and Trump picks a fight with Mayor Karen Bass, which was absolutely beautiful. This soundbite's a little long, but watch it play out. They're arguing over how long it's going to take to clean up the fire damage in places like the Pacific Palisades, so people can get back on their properties and get what might still be there, which there is in some cases some debris that's salvageable. See the damage, survey what's left so they can figure out their next move. None of that's being allowed. Watch.
But we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
That's the thing about public exposure. It doesn't fade when the headlines do. It lingers, sticking to your reputation like a tattoo you can't erase. Once it's out there, it becomes part of your story. Megyn's reaction wasn't about humiliation. It was about responsibility. And she delivered it with the calm precision of someone who understands that a touch of irony helps the truth go down smoother. She didn't need anger or insult. The facts spoke loudly enough, and they weren't kind. Karen's response said everything: the tense smile, the rehearsed lines, the strained effort to save a story that had already slipped out of her control. Once people get a peek behind the curtain, you can't just close it again and expect them to believe the magician still got the magic. As the chaos died down, you could almost hear the collective sigh coming from her campaign headquarters. In a world where politicians often serve half-truths with a side of denial, Megyn handed out a full-course meal of accountability, and the public savored every bite. Maybe Karen Bass will make her way back into politics. They almost always do, but this stumble will leave a mark. Every interview, every public statement, every speech about honesty will carry that unspoken reminder. Remember when she got caught?
Stupid to be the mayor of Los Angeles. She is too stupid to be in public office. You failed, madam. You failed. You failed to prepare for the crisis. And then when your country and your city needed you, what did you do? Oh, you took the fastest route home with no layovers on a military plane? Great. And when you got there, you were too dumb to realize that URL was a placeholder and then to actually look to your team and say, what is the URL? What is the web address? You are a moron. And I am sorry for our friends in Los Angeles who don't deserve this. I realize they voted for this woman, but I'm going to assume they thought she had 2 nickels to rub together in between her ears.
The leader, having promised transparency, got caught up in her own web, and the journalist who revealed it didn't even have to work hard. In the end, it was more than simply Karen Bass's publicity. It has to do with a pattern that never changes, the never-ending cycle of power, denial, exposure, and spin. Megyn happened to hold up the mirror this time, and the reflection was striking. Because at its foundation, this was more than just a political critique. It was a reminder that no matter how polished the image or how well practiced the phrases are, the truth always comes out. Occasionally, it stealthily walks into a studio, sits across from Megyn Kelly, and says, "Good evening." At other times, it comes rushing in. Karen will definitely make it through the controversy, but it will take a major overhaul, possibly even a rebranding, to restore her credibility, like Karen 2.0, except more accountable. However, it is a strange comfort to know that no matter how crazy politics get, there will always be that one time when the mask slips off, the truth is revealed, and everyone just laughs at how absurd it all is.
California is these mealy-mouthed, kale-eating, broccoli-pushing, Birkstock, whatever, wearing politicians who can't find another person fast enough to blame. My absolute favorite, though, is the fire chief. She's growing on me. When she's not focusing on her lesbianism, she's actually quite fierce. She is not going down without bringing Mayor Karen Bass with her. And who could blame her?
And just like that, Karen was back to championing transparency, hosting press conferences with the enthusiasm of a student retaking a test they once swore they'd already aced. The public listened and nodded, but their expressions said it all. We've seen this show before. By that point, Megyn had already wrapped things up, job done, message delivered, raising a single eyebrow that hinted, next case. When you're the one exposing the inconsistencies, there's no need for grandstanding. The replay button handles that for you. Karen, of course, will keep smiling for the cameras, shaking hands, and speaking about rebuilding trust. But that knowing smirk Megyn left behind will linger, like a quiet whisper reminding everyone, don't forget the evidence. In a city where perfection is constantly being polished and sold, the real entertainment begins when someone slips over their own carefully scripted image. Megyn didn't just catch her off guard. She reminded the world that no slogan, no spin, and no speech can hide the truth once the cameras start rolling.